Hello and what's up guys, it is your big guy Daddy Africa and I want to welcome you to another new and exciting episode on my talk with Daddy Africa. And on this new episode we are going to discuss and I'm going to highlight some of the best tips that I have discovered that one can use to maximize on saving of money. And this is what we got you this week. So guys, as we have said that we are going to have a discussion and I'm going to highlight some of the best tips that you can use to maximize on saving, we need to understand, for those who do not know even what saving is, and define for them what saving is. So saving is the act of designating a certain percentage of earnings that you get, and this might be also allowances that we get from our parents, that you designate a certain percentage and put it aside for a certain purpose or for future investments and anything related to that. Number one, you need to track and record your expenses. What tracking and recording expenses does to you, you're able to monitor what you spend your money on, and you'll also find yourself reducing on spending on things that are not necessary. What do I mean things are not necessary? Things that you do not need. These are things that you want. And how you're going to differentiate between what you need and also what you want. A need is something that you have to actually exist and live normally, while a want is now getting into the specification of how you want your thing or how you want your need. So if, for example, I am hungry, I need food. So what I need is food. But once I start saying I want chicken or I want rice, now that becomes a want, but the need is the food. I hope you do understand that. So the first tip that I would advocate for, it would be recording and tracking of your expenses and see where your money goes. Number two, another crucial tip on saving of money is budget for your savings. Even before receiving an income or your earnings or your allowance that you receive from your parents, you need to budget for your saving. Set a certain percentage that you know this will automatically go into my savings account. I would advocate for having an account with a bank or even have a piggy bank, which I've seen has worked for some people. Tip number three, cutting off your spending. Find ways to cut off unnecessary spending. This includes spending on luxuries. Luxuries are things that make you comfortable and they're not necessarily things that you need, as we had said. So you need to find ways of cutting expenses by cutting off luxuries, especially in such a time that we are in. You need to have money set aside that you have saved just in case of anything. And you can also spend on what you need and not what you want, as I had earlier said. Another amazing tip that each and everyone can use is set saving goals. What do I mean when I say you need to set saving goals? You need to have long-term and short-term goals while you're saving for your savings. This includes short-term, includes between 1 to 3 years. How much do you want to have saved in between here? And even you can break down the short-term even into smaller bits and say each month I'm going to save this certain amount. And you need to adhere and have the discipline to follow. Long-term saving goals also are crucial because it includes it starts from 5 years once you start saving for a project that you're willing to start, or for an investment that it needs like 5 years for it to mature so that you can purchase or invest in something. You also need long-term saving goals. And tip number 5 that I'm going to touch on as the final one before we get into the most interactive part as well, as we have always promised to give the best interactive talk show here in Kenya and even in Africa at large. So the 5th tip is clearing or elimination of debts. you need to avoid borrowing money from friends, and especially with debts, you're going to find yourself, you are getting to borrow this money and accumulate debt to satisfy your luxuries. And as we have discussed earlier, we have said you need to spend on what you need. So those are some of the tips that you and I can use to maximize on saving of our money, even in these hard times, and even hopefully when things get back to normal. And on this particular new episode on ways to save money, I got a budding investor and also a personal financial advisor, and also give us tips on how we can maximize on saving money. And this is what we got you.
Hi guys, so back on this channel with some tips on how you can maximize your savings. Tip number 1, save before you spend. That means for whatever income you're getting, you have a base percentage that you put away for savings. Some ways that you can do that is through a check-off system into whatever circle. If you're receiving a salary, if it's a bank, you have a standing order into a savings account, or if you're disciplined enough, just put aside some portion of your income, put them in a savings product that you prefer, and save. Second thing is max out your savings earlier on into your career. And what I mean by this is, if you're a young person, you're living at home, you have no children, you have no obligations, maximize your savings at that point. And the reason why I'm saying this is because of the power of compound interest. You know what they say about compound interest? Those who understand it, earn it. Those who don't, pay it. So when you're young and you still don't have these obligations, put away, even if it means 70% of your income. I've done that before. Put it away, let it save, the interest it earns, it continues making money. The other thing is select avenues that you think you can benefit from. And what I mean by this is, when you're saving, do not put money in your room, mattress banking. Do not put your savings money into your current account, which doesn't have interest. But there are very many products that are tailored and designed to maximize your savings. One of these products is a Sacco. Another similar product is something like a Chama. Another thing is, there are banks and financial institutions that offer specific savings products, and they give a relatively higher percentage of interest. Some of them give them 7. Never put your money where they're telling you it's a savings account and they're just giving you 1% a year. Tayari, with the cost of inflation, you've lost all the products. So look for a product that would benefit you, that would multiply that money. Another thing is, again, I'm assuming the demographic is young people. So if you have no need to be liquid, then save that money in things that hold value. And by this I mean assets, and general instruments that are considered a store of value, such as precious metals like gold and silver. And the reason I'm saying this, if you had 100K and you bought a piece of property worth 100K, yes, you're not liquid, you don't have cash. If somebody needed a 5K from you, you don't have that 5K. However, when it's the fan, you still have that 100K in the form of the shamba. So you can sell it, and same thing with gold. The price of gold does not really vary much, because it's used to back up currency for a lot of countries in the world. So it has a certain value. So you can keep that gold, and you're sort of certain that X worth of money that you used in buying the gold is still maintained. A car is not one such thing. A car, the minute you drive it off the showroom, it it already loses 30% of its value. So think about assets, think about things that actually store value, and use those things to save. Another thing I'd tell you is, which is what I try to do, start afresh every month. And the reason I'm saying this is you already designated that you're going to save, say, 30% at the start of the month when you get your income. So at the end of the month, if you realize that you didn't spend as much, maybe you spent another 20%, that means you have a balance of 50% of your income still in your account. That 50%, take it all away into your savings account or whatever product you're using for saving, and start afresh with that month's income. And that would help you raise the effective percentage of saving that you have. So yeah, those are the tips that I'll give you. If you need more, comment section, the description, do the thing, follow, blah blah blah, and we can engage some more.
I hope that segment that you have had has been of benefit to you, and that you are going to follow some of the tips that we have given and highlighted on ways that you can use to maximize on saving. And the other segment we are getting into is some of the responses that we got from people that we surveyed, and here they are. Thank you for getting to the end of this amazing episode of my talk with Daddy Africa, and I hope you got to learn one or two tips and even you're going to apply in your daily life, and I hope you're going to be able to maximize on saving of money. And thank you to each and everyone that has participated in the conversation. You can reach us out to participate in the new weekly conversations through Facebook at Daddy Africa, Instagram at I am Daddy Africa, and also guys, do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, My Talk with Daddy Africa. Kwaheri, tukutane tena.